Chapter 3 Adventures of Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe was a young sailor who loved adventures. The deep blue sea always attracted him, and he had made many voyages across the sea. During one such voyage, Crusoe sailed out with some other sailors to explore some unknown island. The day was fine, the sea was calm, and their ship was cruising smoothly. The sailors on board were happy. They were excited, thinking that they would discover some new island. Everything was going smooth when one day a terrible storm hit the ocean. It tossed their ship like a toy and drifted it towards an unknown direction. The sailors were panicked. They tried their best to save the ship, but in vain. The huge waves struck the ship again and again, and within a short time it was drowned. The poor sailors struggled hard to save their lives but were perished with the ship. Luckily, the land was not far from them. Crusoe struggled hard to swim in the rough sea and somehow managed to reach the shore. Soon the terror and exhaustion made him unconscious. It was broad daylight when Crusoe opened his eyes. He opened himself lying on the sandy beach of an unknown island. The storm has stopped and the sea was calm as before. He looked around for his companions, but none of them could be seen. He could only see the broken ship perched a little distance away into the sea. He called out again and again for his companions, but there was no reply. Soon he realized that none of them were alive. They have perished in the sea with the ship. Crusoe became sad. Now he was all alone in the deserted island. Slowly he gathered courage and stood up. He was hungry, thirsty, and tired. He looked around and saw a little pond at a distance. He went near and tasted the water. It was not salty. He quenched his thirst and then looked for something to eat. There were some trees around the pond, laden with beautiful red fruits. Crusoe plucked and tasted one. It was not so tasty, but could satisfy his hunger. The day was coming to an end, and Crusoe was afraid. He did not know where there were any wild animal in the island. He decided to spend the night on a tree. He searched for a big tree and soon found one. Somehow he passed the night on the tree. The day after his arrival on the island, he swam to the broken ship. He collected the sail and some poles and returned back to the island. He made several trips back to the ship to bring whatever he could. He made a small tent with the poles and the sail he had brought from the ship. He cut tree branches and made a strong fence around the tent. Next, he piled up some empty chests and casks that he had brought from the ship up in a circle round the tent to make it safe from attack by men or animals. By and by, he took everything that would spoil either in the rain or the sun. Soon the calm weather changed and the sea became rough again. Finally, one day, the ship went down the sea. Days passed on and slowly Crusoe adapted himself to his new life. His only companions were a dog and two cats whom he had rescued from the ship. He spent the day hunting wild goats and at night rested in his small tent. However, he had not given up hope of his rescue, and every day he went to the seashore to see if he could find any ship passing that way. One Friday morning, Crusoe was sitting outside his tent when he heard a strange uproar. He looked around and saw a boat full of savages landed on the island. They had with them another man whose hands and legs were tied. They dragged the man to the beach and lit a fire. Then they began to dance around it. Crusoe realized that they were cannibals and they were going to eat the captive man as was their custom. Crusoe took out his gun and fired several shots in the air. The savages had never heard gunfire before. They thought it to be the roar of a strange animal. They were so terrified that they ran towards their boat, leaving the poor prisoner behind. Soon they sailed away. Crusoe went near the man and untied him. The man fell on his feet out of gratitude. He took the man to his tent and gave him food and protection. He named the man Friday, as he had saved him on that day. Crusoe was very happy to have Friday. They could not understand each other's language, but they could communicate easily using signs and gestures. So far, his only companions were the dogs and the cats he had brought from the ship. For 5 years, Crusoe and his man Friday lived in peace and happiness. Every day they went to the shore and looked for any ship that passed by their island. Then one day he saw a big ship sailing near the island. Crusoe fired his gun to draw the attention of the crews. The ship drew near the island and the captain sent a boat ashore with some crews. The ship took Robinson Crusoe and his man Friday to a harbor from where they got another ship which took them